Hey, what's goody, Frye gang? So, Nintendo has been bringing over a lot of Wii U games over to the Switch, which makes sense. The Wii U sold pretty poorly. Not too many people had a Wii U, and even less of those people had specific games for it. So a lot of Nintendo's big AAA games they're bringing over to the Switch, such as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Pikmin 3 Deluxe, finally now Xenoblade X DE, but there are still plenty of other Wii U exclusive games that Nintendo hasn't brought over yet, such as Star Fox Zero, Yoshi's Woolly World, and one of the more popular ones, Splatoon. Splatoon 1 is still stuck on the Wii U, and a lot of people have been wanting Nintendo to kind of port or even remaster Splatoon for the Switch or whatever future console. And I kind of wanted to talk about if Splatoon really even needs to be ported or remastered for a future console. Does the first game should its legacy live on some newer console for people to still play, or is its time over and we should just relish in the glory that was Splatoon 1 but look forward towards the newer games? So overall, I think Splatoon 1 doesn't need a port or remaster, although it would be very nice. Being able to play Splatoon 1 again on a modern console would be amazing. We'd have all three Splatoon games on the Switch, and it would kind of make sense to bring it over to Switch, since a lot of other series we have all of the games on Switch, like Pikmin. Pikmin 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all on Switch. They ported 1 and 2 over in hype for Pikmin 4. Now, Hey Pikmin, which is a 3DS game, still isn't on the Switch, which makes sense. It is a 3DS game, dual screen. How are you going to do that on one screen? And I don't think they've ported over any 3DS game at all, except for Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. That's like the only thing that can come to mind. So other than that, the Hey Pikmin isn't on Switch. But same for Xenoblade now. All 4 main Xenoblade games, 1, 2, 3, and X, are all on Switch. All of the Bayonetta games, Bayonetta 1, 2, 3, and Bayonetta Origins, are all on Switch. So Switch kind of seems to just be this giant, just franchise machine. If you want to play a certain series, chances are you'll be able to play all of the games on the Switch. And like Metroid is kind of getting up there too. You can already play Zero Mission, which is a remake of the first game, in NSO. You can also play Metroid 2 on NSO, and Metroid Fusion, which is the third game or the fourth game, you can also play on NSO. Super Metroid you can play on NSO. Dread is already on Switch. Prime Remaster. So almost every main Metroid game, other than Prime 2 and 3 and Other M, of course, but we don't talk about Other M. We do not talk about Other M. Every main Metroid game, other than Prime 2, 3, and Other M, are on Switch. So the Switch just seems to be a beast of a console for certain franchises. And Splatoon, you'd think naturally would be one of them. We already have Splatoon 2 and 3 on Switch. We're just missing Splatoon 1. That's the only game we don't have on there. And Splatoon is such a popular series for Nintendo. But the reason why I don't think Splatoon would get ported or remastered, or why it doesn't need to, is because in the grand scheme, Splatoon 2 and 3 are already very similar to Splatoon 1. And Nintendo from the beginning probably planned on not bringing Splatoon 1 to Switch anyway, because all of the Splatoon 1 maps are playable on the Switch already, whether that be Splatoon 2 or Splatoon 3. All of the maps in Splatoon 1 are already playable in Splatoon 2 or 3, minus Urchin Underpass, of course, and then Salt Spray Rig. The closest we have is the fucking Grand Splatlands Bowl. So there could be a case made for those. Also, there are a lot of legacy kits, and that means just basically copying the kits from Splatoon 1 into another game. For an example, CRB Custom Range Blaster has the exact same kit as Splatoon 1 with Splat Bomb Kraken. There are a lot of other Splatoon 1 legacy kits in Splatoon 3, though Splatoon 1 Slosher, I do want that back. I'm not gonna lie, I do want Bursty back on Slosher, because that is just a perfect combo, and we kind of already have that with regular vanilla Slosher in Splatoon 3. It's got Splat Bomb, Tri-Strike, and in Splatoon 1 I had Burst Bomb, Ink Strike, so it's close enough because I guess Splat Bomb is kind of just like a delayed Bursty, and then Tri-Strike is just a rework Ink Strike. So there are already a lot of legacy kits there. A lot of the gear from Splatoon 1 is also in the game, so a lot of Splatoon 1 content is already in Splatoon 2 or 3 spread across the two, so there wouldn't really be any reason for them to bring over Splatoon 1. In terms of like all of that stuff is already here in Splatoon 3 and 2, so it would kind of just be redundant and a big repeat of stuff we already have. Now, again, a reason why it would be nice to have it on Switch is to just go back and relive the memories of Splatoon 1. And I guess the story mode, now I just thought about the story mode, so maybe my point just is completely moot now. That would be a reason to bring over the game alone, is just the story mode, because there are a lot of people who do like to play Splatoon for the story modes and not online, so being able to have a way to play that would be nice. There's many arguments and cases for why Splatoon 1 could work on Switch or should be brought over to Switch. I just don't think it's necessary. I don't think Nintendo sees it as a priority. Maybe I'm wrong and they do a complete 180 and bring Splatoon 1 over to the next console, because the president of Nintendo did confirm that the next console will be backwards compatible with the Switch. Like, this is confirmed by the president of Nintendo himself. So yes, you will be able to play Splatoon 2 and 3 on the new console. So maybe for like hype of Splatoon 4, maybe like a year or so before Splatoon 4 drops, they'll port Splatoon 1 onto the new console or something, so that we will have all of the games all on one console, just like we do with the Switch right now with a ton of other series. And another thing to think about is if they did port Splatoon 1 to the next console, how would that really work out with the content? Would we just have all of the content in Splatoon 1 as of the end of the updates just all there at launch, or would they do another update cycle again? And that's kind of the thing with live service games. You can't really port or remaster live service games, because all of the content, you'd either have to add it in at the launch of the game, therefore no longer making it live service, kind of killing the game and defeating the point of live service game, or you just have to strip all the content away and then distribute it just like you did the first time. That would also not really make a whole lot of sense. So I think Splatoon, unfortunately, is just cursed by being a live service game, that it can't really get ported or remastered or anything like that. So eventually, with the console after this next upcoming one, if that's not backwards compatible, eventually Nintendo's going to shut down online for the Switch and the next console, which means Splatoon 2 and 3 will no longer be playable online, and then they're just forever lost like Splatoon 1 is, because how are you really going to do that unless, you know, maybe, like I said, unless they just do port the game with all of its content in there, which I don't know how that's going to impact the whole live service element of it, given that it's not there's no microtransactions in the game. All of the content like they're added in the game are free. You just have to pay for the game itself, and then everything else in the game is free. You don't have to pay for battle pass, you don't have to pay for skins, none of that. All that is free and paid with in-game currency. So I don't think there'd be like any type of legal trouble they'd be in with that kind of thing. If there were microtransactions, I'm sure there'd be some kind of legal thing that would prevent them from re-releasing the game on a newer console. I'm not really sure how all of that works, or if that even does work. I'm not sure if y'all understood my point throughout this video. I may have been just talking and not really explaining myself well, but all in all, I don't think Splatoon 1 really needs a port or remaster, or really will get one at all, because it's kind of just unnecessary given so much of the content of Splatoon 1 is already in Splatoon 2 and 3, and we can still play those freely right now as we want. And with the Switch on track to being the best-selling console of all time, a lot of people have Splatoon 2 and 3. So the content from Splatoon 1 is widely accessible in Splatoon 2 and 3. The only thing that you can't really do is the story mode. But given how similar the story mode is to Splatoon 2 and 3, you're not really missing a whole lot. But the story mode is really like the biggest factor on like, oh, missing content that would be worthy of being re-released. But everything else, from the maps to the weapons, every single weapon from Splatoon 1 is in 2 or 3, because the newest games just take from the old games and add on top of that. Like Splatoon 2 has all of the weapon classes from Splatoon 1 and added a couple. Splatoon 3 has all of the weapon classes from Splatoon 2 and 1 and just added a couple. So all of the weapons are there. Now the kits are obviously different, but there are still a lot of legacy or like half legacy kits in Splatoon 2 and 3, where like the sub will match up but not the special, or the special will match up but not the sub. So all of the weapons are there. Most of the gear is spread out between Splatoon 2 and 3. All of the maps minus like 1.5, I guess. I'm counting Salt Spray as like half a map, because Grand Splatlands Bowl isn't really Salt Spray, but it's kind of shaped like Salt Spray, so that's like half. So every map minus like 1.5 are already in Splatoon 2 and 3. So the majority of the content from Splatoon 1 are already in 2 and 3. So, and you also have to remember, like, this, Nintendo is a company, it's a business, so everything has to make money sense. Like, although fans would be very happy about Splatoon 1 coming over to a new console, that doesn't necessarily mean, oh, they should just go and do it because that's what the fans want. If something's not going to make them money, they're not even going to think about it. So yeah, on paper, Splatoon 1 being re-released on the new console sounds like a great idea, but we have no idea how that's going to, will that perform well? Like, you'd have to do some kind of like market analysis and shit to figure out, is this going to make money? Is this going to turn a profit, and like a certain amount of profit? So I don't know, maybe Nintendo just doesn't think it's worth doing, because again, most of the content is already in 2 and 3, and most people, or a lot of people, already have 2 and 3 and are still playing 2 and 3, so there's not really any reason to. But hey, maybe I'm just wrong about all this, and they're whipping up something for a Splatoon 1, because I know they're definitely working on some kind of new Splatoon game. We just have to wait to see what that is, whether that be 4 or some spin-off. But that's really about it. See you next mission and play some goddamn Splatty.